just 1% of voters say Rishi Sunak's government is very honest. 1%, guys. I'm going to read into this more from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from Byline Times with the headline of just 1% of voters say Rishi Sunak's government is very honest. The real 1% of those voters will still trust the Prime Minister, reports Adam Benchoff. Now, obviously, guys, let's just stop for a moment and just remember that whenever any polls or anything like that, take them with a pinch of salt. Obviously, it's not to jump to conclusions, I would say. There is still whether you like it or not, there is still going to be a proportion of voters in England who are going to vote Conservative, no matter how bad things get in this country. Even if everything is burning down around them, like the famous dog meme, they're still going to believe that everything is fine. Still vote Conservative, no matter what. There will always be those people. No matter what. But just that headline from Byline Times, one of the most reliable news outlets out there, guys. And if you're not subscribed to Byline Times, you should subscribe to them because they do some wonderful, wonderful work. This headline really does just stick it in, shall we say, to Rishi Sunak and how the general public really feel, because the overwhelming majority of people across the whole of the United Kingdom are fed up of the Conservatives. Not just here in England, but the vast majority of Scotland as well are fed up of things being pushed and poked around by those in Westminster. Wales are sick and tired of Conservatives as well, and Northern Ireland are sick and tired of obviously being sitting on the sidelines, not having and not getting the executive up. The DUP, someone needs to do something about them, and this current government have done bugger all about it. So understandably, the whole of the UK are kind of fed up of Rishi Sunak and Conservatives and want something a bit different. And I don't know about you, but I'm inclined to agree. So just 1% of voters believe Rishi Sunak's administration is very honest, according to an exclusive new poll for Byline Times, revealing huge mistrust in the current government. The Prime Minister last year claimed he was delivering on his promises to restore integrity, professionalism and accountability to Downing Street. Do you guys remember that? I remember him saying that. Whatever happened to that guy? However, a poll conducted by pollsters We Think for Byline Times at the end of December suggested that he had a very long way to go to convince voters of this. Asked to what extent, if at all, he would describe the current government as being either honest or corrupt, 57% of voters said they would describe him as being corrupt. Almost all, 27%, described them as being quite corrupt, compared to 30% who described them as very corrupt. I mean, what would you say? I mean, what is the level here of corruption here? Like more corrupt or less corrupt? Does that threshold really matter, or is it just the fact that he's corrupt? I mean, I'm just putting that out there. Voters are much less likely to see Sunak's administration as being honest. Almost all voters, just 1%, they're willing to describe the government as being very honest, with only a further 11% describing them as quite honest. Even amongst Conservative voters, just 4% said they'd be willing to describe them as being very honest. This widespread distrust in Downing Street is echoed by voters' response to the Prime Minister's claims to the COVID inquiry last month that he had been unable to recover any of his WhatsApp messages at the time of the pandemic. I seem to have misplaced my WhatsApp messages. Oh, don't worry, they're still in your phone, Prime Minister. No, I've definitely misplaced them. Somewhere. Oh, what, those exact ones at the most key important time. Yeah, those ones. They seem to have gone missing somewhere. Whatever happened to them? According to our poll, just 23% of voters believe he's excused for failing to provide the message, compared to 77% who disbelieve him. Separate polling conducted for Byline by the We Think this week confirms these broad anti-politics feeling among the public. According to the poll, 70% of voters said they are inclined to believe that politicians in Westminster are in it for themselves, compared to just 12% who believe they are devolved to serving the British people. 12% of people think they're devolved to serving the British people, politicians. That's quite an interesting number. The Prime Minister on Thursday suggested that he would call a general election in the second half of the year. However, our polling suggests that the apparent collapse in trust in the government's honesty is reflected in voters' expectations of their future performance should they win another term. Asked whether they believe another Conservative government would make their lives better, just 16% said they would, compared to 48% who said it would make it worse, and 36% who said it would make no difference at all. Despite being somewhat more optimistic about the prospects of a Labour government, voters appear split on whether it will make a meaningful difference to their lives. However, asked how a Labour government would impact them, 39% said they believed it would make their lives better, compared to 31% who will make their lives worse. So 31% there still think it will make their lives worse, and 30% who said it will make no difference at all. Interesting. So there's still quite a few. So 39% believe their lives will be better off under Labour. There's some people who think it'll be worse off, and 30% said it would make no difference at all. So there's a belief that perhaps there's a belief out there that people just don't think there's going to be any change whatsoever after the general election. I'm in the belief that things will be better. Things will get better under Labour. Will it be perfect? Of course not. I know I understand the caution, but I do think things will be better under a Labour government than a Conservative one. You have to remember, it's been 14 years since we've had a new political party in power. You have to remember that. You have to take that into account, guys. However, according to separate polling conducted week by week, there is still significant optimism among voters about the upcoming general election. Asked how they felt about the outcome of that general election, 47% said they felt hopeful, compared to 30% who said they felt fearful, and just 22% said they felt apathetic. So there's some interesting numbers, to say the least, guys. So what do I make of some of these numbers? There will always be a percentage of people out there who generally, under no circumstances, are going to trust Labour, no matter what. No matter how much good or whatever they say, there's going to be a group of voters who will never vote Labour, no matter what. That doesn't mean that Labour are the best party forward. Obviously, we are forced to choose between red and blue because of a first past the post system. If it was up to me, I'd be throwing my hat behind the Green Party, hands down, because I believe they are one of the most least corrupt parties out of all the political parties. I certainly think that the Lib Dems will also have a say, as well as Reform, in this general election, but they're not going to have as much, obviously, compared to the Conservatives and Labour Party, obviously, when it comes to this general election. Whenever that may be, whether it will be spring, autumn, or even in December, or even in January, because that's probably how scared Rishi Sunak is. But what do you guys honestly think about these numbers? What do you guys think? Do you believe some of these numbers? Do you think that there's still a huge chunk of people who just simply do not trust Labour? Or actually think some people actually there believe that Labour, being a Labour government, will be worse off? If you guys think Labour will be a worse off in government, please let me know why you think so in the comment section down below. I'm curious to hear why you think Labour will be worse than what we've had for the last 14 years of Conservative rule. Curious to know what you guys honestly think, so share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share this across social media and hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I upload another video. And if you want to financially support me, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member or joining me on Patreon for exclusive content. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.